Hi, this is gonna be a spoiler-free review for Nightmare Alley. It's a movie that's on theaters right now, but it's probably on its way out. So if it's something that interests you, watch it before it goes away if you have the chance. Now, usually, I start a review giving a quick story synopsis here, but I'm not gonna do that this time. Reason being, I am actually afraid of giving something away. It's one of those kinds of movies in which every small detail matter. And I tried to summarize this a couple of times. I never felt like I could properly do it justice without robbing you of something. So instead, I'm just going to skip this part entirely, and I'm going to go over straight away into an overview of the story. Let's start things off by saying that this is a Guillermo del Toro movie. So, look, love him or hate him, the guy is a visionary with quite a unique view and a unique take on things. A lot of people, when you say Guillermo del Toro, think about something along the lines of Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water, you know, monsters. But monsters with feelings, monsters with a deep message, something along those lines. That being said, even though he does kind of like to lean on the fantastical, this time around he eased up quite a bit on the whole fantastical setting, the eerie thing. It's still present, but not in a supernatural way, no. You'll still feel like this is a Del Toro movie. Definitely. Let's go over how the story elements fit together. It's based on a novel, on a 1946 novel written by William Lindsay Gresham. And it's not even the first adaptation of this novel into movie format. That actually happened in 1947. So yeah, very close. This movie is a movie that pretty much tells the story of greed and ambition being followed with reckless abandon, and the setup, the rise, and the fallout, the consequences of this quest, this search. Not only the consequences for the people involved in this search, but also for those around them, for the circle. This being a Del Toro movie, and me mentioning what I just did, one might be forgiven to think, you know what, all that you just mentioned makes me think of monsters. Where are the monsters? They're certainly a monster, right? Well, no. Joke's on you. No monsters. Ha! Monsters dead. No monsters. And yet, somehow, this movie kind of gives me a Pan's Labyrinth callback somewhat. I don't know. There's something about the vibe of the movie. It's really subjective. I don't know how to put this into words. Just trust me on this one, all right? This movie is kind of a unique beast. It's a rather long movie, but it's actually two. You see, it's a movie that unfolds itself into two parts. The first half and the second half, and they are wildly different. The first half would be what in other movies would be just that training section, the setup, who the character needs to become in order for the story to actually start. But in this case, they actually work through it for a rather long time, to the benefit of the story, in my opinion. But then, once you hit the halfway point, give or take, then the movie switches gears and becomes a modern take on film noir. A lot of people say that they prefer one part over the other. That's the general consensus. And the overall feeling is that the pacing of the movie, especially in the beginning part, is slow. And I can see the argument. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can see it. It's not going to be fast enough for a lot of people. It drags itself a little bit, but not in a bad way, at least in my opinion. You get to see interrelationships between many different characters, how they all interact with each other, how it all comes together, how the main character, the protagonist, starts learning and behaving and acting the way that he does, up to the point that leads to the second half of the movie. And honestly, I think that it's all necessary. Now, when you go to the second part of the movie actually becomes a movie noir, a modern take on a movie noir. And it's very interesting to see that they pick up the pace as well. You know, you see a marked increase in the speed of the pace. You know, the pacing just speeds up a notch. This is where everything escalates all the way to high heaven, and all the bombastic and everything that happens in the story, well, is going to happen here, obviously. It's a great story that really nails the whole theme of going full circle. You really see the entire arc coming onto its own. Not just for the main character, but also for those around him. But on this one, it's not the kind of movie in which everyone gets developed deeply. Instead, what you get is a sense that every character is their own, even if they're not developed on screen. You feel like they all have their motivations, even if they are not shown directly to you. However, the main character gets developed completely, and you see every step of the way of everything that happens to him, and it all makes sense. And this is just something that is really satisfying to see, even if what actually happens isn't all that pleasant. This movie gets dark. In a way, this movie really represents what being human is like, but the dark part. You know, the dark side of being human. You know, how people and the lengths that people go to exploit others, to get an advantage over others. And also what people are willing to believe. You know, they really show how people are willing to fool themselves, to believe in a lie, willingly. And it's something interesting to see. It's something that makes you reflect a little bit on our own nature. And you know what, this kind of questioning inside a movie is something I do appreciate. This movie handles darkness, the darkness that exists within us in many different aspects. For instance, there are the grifters and what they are willing to do in order to be successful in their cons, in their business. Then there are the people who go to become the audience of these people, and they are willing to let themselves be deceived. They are willing to believe in a lie. They are willing to do these kinds of things just to get a little bit of hope. They want to be found. They want to be seen. And this is something that the movie really shows and even exploits to your own benefit as the audience. I mean, we're all like that. We all have weaknesses, we all have desires, and sometimes we just want to give in to them, right? Even the most stoic person in the world sometimes has doubts, sometimes just wants to believe in something that he knows is a lie, but is going to make him feel better. You know what? Please leave a comment below, because I want to know to what lengths would you be able, are you willing to go in order to fulfill your ambitions, your objectives? Sometimes discussions and questions such as these, sometimes they can be real mind openers. So go ahead, please. I'm actually quite interested to know this kind of thing. Let's go over some other elements that this movie has. Let's start with the casting. First off, when you see the list of people that is working on this movie, you run the risk of getting a little starstruck. You know, there are a lot, and I do mean a lot, of talent in this movie. Bradley Cooper, Cate Blanchett, Willem Dafoe. There are so many people in there. Talented people, proven, excellent actors, that I'm not going to focus on any one of them, okay? Except maybe for Bradley Cooper, because look, the performance from everyone all around is honestly quite haunting. It's very good. This might be Bradley Cooper's best performance to date. So yeah, Bradley Cooper is probably having one of the, if not the best performance of his career. Willem Dafoe, killing it as usual. Am I gonna have to mention this every time Willem Dafoe appears on this channel? I mean, every single time. The man's a machine. And while all performances are good, the range of good, as far as the quality of the performances from this top shelf list of actors go, it goes all the way from, you know what, it's good, all the way to, you know what, just hand over the awards already. Now, maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, but truth is, it's just all around really good. This movie is beautiful to look at. It has some dark things going on, but it's just beautiful to look at. The photography, oh man, what is that look? It's great. This movie just feels fantastic. It looks good. I felt like this story was extremely well constructed, very well structured. So as far as the technical aspects go, I don't really have a lot to criticize here. Now let's go over the verdict. Right, it's that part, and this is a part in which I find myself to be in a very weird position because, objectively speaking, this is a good movie. However, a lot of people are not going to think that. They are not going to like it. They're going to abhor this movie on account of its themes, on account of just how dark it is. There are some movies that are objectively good, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and yet I hate them. Alright, for instance, and this is just for me, a movie that is really good, it's a classic, and I hate that movie and never want to watch it again, is Clockwork Orange. Just so you know. It's the kind of thing that some people will be able to, you know what, this is a good movie, never want to watch it again. This might be the case for you. For me, however, it's a really good movie that I do want to watch it again. If you are someone who likes this kind of story that has a moral behind it, where things can and oftentimes will go full circle, where every consequence, every choice that you see that the characters make in the movie, not just the protagonist, have their consequences and you can really feel them, you can really sink your teeth into this. However, if you are usually into something a little bit more lighthearted, or you're just not into dark themes at all, this is not gonna be for you. This is not gonna be your cup of tea. I still think it's worth a watch. Even if you don't like the movie, at the very least, this is a very interesting movie. So I'm gonna go with that. It's interesting. It's definitely worth a watch. If you made it this far, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you have any interest at all in making this channel grow. It really helps out, you have no idea, because you know of how the algorithm works and all that, and you know what, this is just the third video, so we still need all the help we can get. Now, if you did not enjoy the content but still watched up to this point, thank you very much. Please leave in the comments below what I can do better. Also, if you have any suggestions or something that you want to see featured on the channel, regardless of if you enjoy the content or not, please leave it down below. It's really going to be a great help and greatly appreciated. So that's about it. Thank you very much. Ciao.